Hey, it's your girl Nay coming to you with another episode of As Told by Nay, the podcast. Welcome to another conversation. I'm excited to have this conversation. It's going to be very interesting. A lot of people, believe it or not, have been asking me about this particular convo, and I've been a little hesitant to do it just because I'm not knowledgeable in the field. Of course, as always, Nate has an opinion, right? But I don't really know how to explain or answer the questions that people have been asking. So I have found somebody that is willing to be open and transparent about their own experiences in regards to this conversation. And we're going to get into it. Finally, we're going to get into it. So if I had to give tonight's conversation a title, I would call it Three's a Crowd. What do you mean by that, Nate? Three's a Crowd. And we're going to get right into what exactly I mean by that after we do a little bit of housekeeping. So I'm going to go ahead and get my guest on, and we're going to go ahead and get this started. Yo. I cannot hear you. You can't hear me. Oh no. Hold on. What's happening? First of all, why can't you hear me? That's gonna be the thing. Technical difficulties. You still can't hear me? Can y'all hear me? If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. Somebody hit me. I know how to tell if y'all can hear me. Hold on. Let me go to my Okay, yeah. Y'all can hear me. I don't know why he can't hear me. I'm gonna give him a minute so he can jump back in. And we'll get it started. Let's try this again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I couldn't hear you. I was like, I could hear you 1 minute, then it went out, and I was like, what the fuck?
I don't know, but we good to go at this moment. So let's get
Yeah.
right to it. So, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, let the people know who you are, and whatever else you feel like you need to say before we get started.
My name's Bryant. I run a construction company, residential, commercial, governmental construction. I do real estate, and I recently got engaged to my fiance. We've been 6 years poly to kind of make it coincide with our conversation. And I'm 32, and I have one child.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations on your engagement. That's big.
Thank you.
I love love. So anybody that finds it, I'm rooting for you. And you said 6 years in the poly game.
6 years.
All right, we definitely gonna pick your brain tonight for sure. But
Yes.
before we get into that, I like to toast for the evening. I know you can't, but I'm gonna sip for the both of us. Let me know, what are we toasting to tonight?
A great live stream and some informational things for people to learn.
I'm here for that. Because me for sure, I got some questions.
Yes,
Got my
ma'am.
personal questions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, but before we get into that, we're gonna go ahead and get these excuse me come again questions out the way. So 4 random questions. You did not get to prepare for this, but a little icebreaker. It's cool
Yeah.
though. Nothing too heavy, nothing too heavy. All right, but straight out of the gate, would you ever purposely leak a sex tape or nudes?
Excuse me, come again? um,
Exactly.
nah. It's like, nah. That's one of the things that make people love me. That if you give it to me, I'm keeping it, but it ain't never going nowhere. It ain't never going nowhere. I got stuff that I got sex tapes and sex and nudes that never seen the light of day from years
Okay.
ago.
So you keeping it to self. That came up because there's a sex. People are tending to leak their own sex tapes like on purpose these days. I don't know
They
if it like
are
it builds their
that can.
following or like it makes them relevant. I mean, clearly because people are going to watch it. But
Yeah,
can you really call it a leak if you put it out there though? You kind of just
it's that
exposing it
Kim K.
for free.
It's
Well, I
it's
guess
that
later
Kim K.
monetary.
That's that Kim K. The Kim K started that one. She got rich off of it. So
I was just about to say later on it does become, a financial gain. So, I guess. All right,
mhm.
question number 2. What was your last Google search?
um, I was looking for some material.
Okay. So work
I was looking
related.
for some material for work, some work related stuff. That was my last Google search. It's always something work related.
Okay, okay, okay. Question number 3. Is there anything in life you truly wish you could take back? An experience, a decision, a situation, a person?
Um, no, because each one of them I want to say anything that popped in my head. It made me want to. It was another thought that was like, oh no, but this thing came from it. Or no,
Mm,
this thing came from it. It's like, nah, I can't, because then I wouldn't have the stuff that I have. I was
right.
like, I would say this person or this situation, but it's like, but I wouldn't have this and I wouldn't have that, or I wouldn't learn this, or like something that is significant to me now. So it's like, nah.
I used to think that way too until recently. There is literally only one thing in my life that I would ever do differently. And I think that it would have changed the whole course of everything for the better, though.
Hmm.
It was a decision that I made in the moment, split decision that was very, I did not think it through. I did not weigh the outcome. And it was just kind of in
Hmm.
that boom, I did it. And now looking back, it's like, if you would have just not done that, everything would be
I
different.
want. What's the tea? What's the tea? Hello. It sounded like it was like you broke up with somebody on like real quick because you was emotional, and then you feel.
Information that turned out to be false. And before further investigation, I told someone, and it just set off this chain of events that was just like, if you would have just kept your damn mouth closed before you knew what was,
You got to
life would have been better for you.
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
So that's literally the only thing. But I
I
agree
got.
with what you said though. Most things that we think it's like, dang, I would have did this different, but no, I wouldn't have because X, Y, and Z happened because of that. So I definitely can get
Hmm.
that. And then question number 4 is watching porn foreplay or entertainment?
Both for
You
me.
understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, yeah. I said it's both for me.
Okay.
It's both because I mean it could be foreplay. Like if we watching something that we both enjoy. First off, finding porn for women. Men don't try. Men should not try to pick porn to watch with women. Let the woman pick it because we'll get turned on more. Versus unless they're picking something outrageous like gay porn or like tranny porn or something that you're not really into. But other than that, just let the woman pick it. You know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be something that you can get into. So like and I've watched porn sometimes just to watch it. I ain't gonna lie, like I be just watching. So
Interesting. I just, maybe I haven't found the right porn. I don't get the point of it. It does absolutely nothing for me. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I
I
don't know.
mean, so it may not
Somebody
be for
asked
you. I
me
mean,
that
it's kind.
question.
Huh?
I'm sorry.
You said someone asked you that question.
Someone asked me that question, and that's why I posed it to you. And I really just didn't. I It's not. I would say foreplay only because I feel like it would turn my partner on, and then
Hmm.
there's that. But entertainment, I don't know. Um,
I understand. I mean, for me, I'm I'm on a whole different level of like sex freak type stuff. So
Clearly. And we're gonna get into
yeah,
it.
yeah.
We're definitely gonna get into it. So okay, cool. So you said both. That's what's up. So those are the excuse me, come again questions, very light, right? And
Hmm.
moving right along. So tonight we are talking about polygamy, polygamous
Hmm.
relationships, poly love, poly lifestyle, all that stuff, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
And I'm going to let you educate us a little bit because you actually taught me something earlier when we were talking
Okay.
when this came up. I thought it was just one situation, and you actually were able to break it down into subsections for me. So I want you to go
Right.
ahead right now and let the people know, what those subsections are and what they mean.
Okay. So when people say poly, they're talking about polygamy, which is an umbrella. You have to look at it like an umbrella. And off this one umbrella, it's three different branches. Three. And polygamy literally means multiple loves. So if you get that as multiple loves, then you break it down into three aspects. You have polygyny, polyamory, and polyandry. Each one is very different from the other. You have polygamy, which is one man, multiple women. Then you have polyamory, which is multiple relationships in general. And then you have polyandry, which is one woman, multiple men.
Okay.
Polyandry is like kind of the most fluid of them all. Like things kind of just get a little murky and you need terms and different things to understand it. But for the most part, polygyny and polyandry, one woman or one man with multiple men or women that they're in a relationship with. And most people, when they talk about polygamy, they interchange that term with polygyny, but they're technically not the same.
Right.
So,
Okay. So which subset is your lifestyle?
so with me and my fiance, we are polygynous, but we have ex- external other relationships. I'm not gonna say external, but there are other relationships that we have that would qualify us to be polyamorous.
Okay.
And depending on who you talk to, you can get into more murky waters. But for this conversation, we're polygynous in our household, and and with our other relationships, we are considered polyamorous because we have these other relationships with these other people.
Okay, so let's start right there. So one of the questions that one of my followers wanted to pose to you was, in going into this lifestyle, was this something that you two decided separately before y'all even met each other? Was it a decision that y'all came to together, or was it a decision that one of the other had already had implemented in their life and then you brought it to your partner?
So with me and my fiance, we got into it together. How we got into it together is a funny story that I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
But one of my girlfriends, I actually brought her into the lifestyle
Okay.
and kind of gave her some of the ropes, and then she went deeper into it and a whole bunch of other things. But the funny story that the way me and my fiance got into it was that we actually started as swingers, and I had already got my whole phase out of me, like on some like legit, like I'm like, yeah, just having sex with random women it don't quite do it for me the same way. I was like, I need something a little bit deeper, and I was like, I learned about polyamory because I was just googling like different things about like why is swinging not that serious for me? Like I feel kind of empty after swinging at times. Like this doesn't work as well as you would think. And it was actually a pastor who told us to go swinging because we was having issues in our relationship at that time. So I was like,
Really?
uh, yeah, we had a pastor tell us to try swinging, and then yeah, and then we became poly after that. After I realized that swinging wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't a thing of I just wanted to fuck random women. Have had more than enough sex than what I've learned that a lot of guys have had. So it was like, yeah, I was just getting random pussy. Ain't it for me.
Right. So for you, then it was more so looking to find something because the sex piece it was more than just the physical.
Yeah, it was more. It was. I. I guess the term that people would categorize that in would be more like a demi or demisexual, where it has to be some type of emotional connection there, or some
Hmm.
type of real interest there. Like I don't get turned on just I can get turned on from looking at a woman's body, but once we get intimate, it has to be something more there. I gotta like you as a person,
Okay.
unless I'm just on some straight freak ball stuff, and then that's a different story.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's just add another factor there. So we're talking about, you know, how you got started with with the lifestyle and with you and your partner and the sex piece. So I think there's a common misconception that poly lifestyle is about the sex, that it is about having these multiple partners. Because one another question that came about was, you know, why not just be single? If you just want to have sex with multiple people and you want to have this different lifestyle of all these different girlfriends, why not just be single and dating, or not have a committed relationship and just date multi date? So when you talk about, you know, the lifestyle versus just wanting to have threesomes or just wanting to be sexual and have all of the conquer all these women and have this situation where, you know, you got all these different women on the team, what differentiates the sexual part of it versus the actual lifestyle of the poly umbrella?
Because in any relationship, let's just be real. In any relationship, sex is probably 10% of what you actually do with an individual. Like, even if you're in a relationship with somebody, you have sex 7 days a week. Let's say sex lasts an hour, which for most people we know isn't the case. You still got 23 hours of 7 days that you have to interact with this other person.
Hmm.
And most people aren't having sex 7 days a week. I'm not. I got other shit to do. I got a whole lot of other shit to do. So you're talking about dealing with the person, not just the sex. And if you're having a relationship with that person, there's more to that situation in that relationship in general than sex. So for me, it was for me on my end, it was that me and my fiance, I never wanted her to be my everything. I knew that she couldn't be. She couldn't possibly be my everything. Like to be someone's everything, that's so many different hats. And then you have to be able to move and flow with that person and know what they're thinking, which would make you a mind reader in the first place. And we know none of us are. And then
Right.
secondly, even if they tell you when it first comes about, which we know most people, when something first comes about, they aren't even aware that the change has happened in themselves, like including myself. So then you need a situation to show you, and by the time that situation comes about, there's an issue that happened. They try to deal with the issue and then come to the realization. Look at that long ass process. Too much. It's just too fucking much. So you have to be real. You can't be everything to your spouse. You can't be everything to your significant other. You just can't be. So if you know that you can be and we're supposed to be living our lives to the quote unquote fullest, you're going to need other people to facilitate that. And if sex is the thing that is the deal breaker for you, then you have to ask yourself, where's your ego and your pride at that sex? You have to control someone's sexual desires and their sexual moves to say, oh, this is a breaking point. Because I mean,
Right.
realistically, people fuck for because they get stressed. People fuck because they they need a mental release. They need like sex is not always just this thing of oh, I want to go behind my partner's back. Like that's just dumb. So just that's just me commenting on the sexual portion of it. It's like it's just dumb when you think of it in that aspect. It's really about the relationship because the relationship that I built with my fiance, it's unbreakable. The relationship I built with my girlfriends, it's unbreakable. Like I'm not gonna say yeah, they're unbreakable. Like it would have to be a choice from one or the other to dissolve that relationship. It's like no, you mean something to me. Like you bring something to my life, and you you mean something. Like so many different situations that I can name that like just even through the conversation, it's like, you gave me something to think about, or you made me something to look at, or or you've helped me in this way. Like, even though my girlfriends are in other states, we still talk. I'm the one who drops the ball on talking because I be so busy. Like, me being on this podcast or this live stream is more of it. It could be more of a pose an issue later because they're like, how the fuck did she get you? And we didn't. like so. But yeah, it's like it's deeper than that. It's not about just the fucking. Because I mean, again, we're swingers. So being swingers, it if I wanted sex, I can just go get sex. And I'm not to toot my own horn. I'm not an ugly dude. So if it's about sex, I can get a female to want to fuck me. I mean, I've done that for enough years now that it's almost an art science type thing on having sex with women. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard to have sex with women because I mean, it's not much of a threshold to make that happen. People find each other. They find you attractive. You have a good conversation. You can speak well. You can teach them something and peer into their head or make them think or, make them feel comfortable. And you get to chilling and make them feel comfortable in person. You break a touch barrier, meaning that, you guys can be physical in some sort of fashion, whether that be hugs, kisses, whatever. And then y'all can get into a private space and then sex happens. Like, it's not hard. I mean,
I think sex is overly, like, within our generation, sex has so many different meanings now that exactly people want to feel wanted, they have sex. People are lonely, they have sex. People feel like they
mhm.
need to connect, they have sex. Like, sex can fulfill so many different avenues. Like you said, I'm stressed, I have sex. I'm bored, I have sex. Like,
Mhm.
it just happens. So I think when people think about, oh, you just want to have a bunch of sex, exactly like you said, anybody can have sex ultimately if they really wanted to. Like, it really doesn't take much. So sex really isn't the basis of the lifestyle. Like, I guess it's a part of it, of course, but it's not like you just have to have this title to get sex or because you like sex. So you said something kind of profound that sticks out to me then. So do you then feel like people in general are supposed to have multiple partners, like not one person can like a monogamous relationship, just one and one? You don't feel like that is a good function, like you have to have multiple pieces, like people are supposed to have multiple pieces?
So I'm going to speak in general, but not as a totality, meaning that I'm not going to say everyone. I know some people that are just literally monogamous. Like, I have friends that are monogamous. But what I generally find is that most people aren't. Most people aren't, at least in an expressed sexual way, at least when it comes to sex. Like, you may not have the tolerance or the patience to deal with multiple people in a relationship, but when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to sex, I met plenty of women who wanted to have a threesome with two dudes, or wanted to have a threesome with a man and a woman, or wanted to have, some type of sexual experience that they've seen or even imagined from a book, a porno, someone telling them something. Well, most sexual things is not just two partners that people have fantasies about. It's literally just not. So if you're talking about on a sexual sense, I would say generally no, most people aren't monogamous. Most people. However, if you're talking about on a relational sense, I think some people are because they don't have the patience for their own emotions, let alone multiple people. But then you have other people that have the capacity to be able to have sex with multiple. I mean, have relationships with multiple people and maintain those relationships. Every relationship isn't going to be the same. Like, we all have friends. That doesn't mean they're our best friends. We all have people that
Right.
we know. That doesn't mean they're friends. So it's like, if you can sectionalize, if you can take a section in your brain and make that make sense that, okay, I have friends, but not everybody's my best friend. Or I have friends and I'm going to hide this aspect of my life from this friend because they're too judgy. But this friend over here, I can tell them more because they're really open. It's like,
Right.
well, people do that with their partners on a regular. Like, your man or your, I mean, my fiance goes and spends some money and didn't want me know that what she spent the money on. I'm gonna be like, come on, yeah, what the fuck? she's gonna hide it. I'm gonna find out, and then we're gonna have a conversation. But she's gonna hide it, and the natural instinct is because you don't want to go through the conversation. Does that mean she's untrustworthy, or does that mean that I'm too harsh, or I'm too strict, or I'm an asshole, or does it mean that just people naturally do different things in different categories, and that's just where people are at that moment, and you gotta make it this big deal. It's like I'm not some theological person or no bullshit like that, but it's like people are people. Let people, and you can live. Like
Right.
just live.
Okay.
So I don't think that everyone is monogamous. I think that people push that, especially with us having a Disney society that we've mainly grown up on. Like they push like, oh, the princess is going to get this charming prince who was once a beast and now he's this charming dude, or he was a frog and now he's this charming dude, and he only belongs to her. Well, in reality, princes and kings had multiple wives. Like, so you think that this one man is going to deal with you when he has the ability to take care of hundreds of women? Like, it don't make sense. And then even then, like, even in the Bible, they had it where if a man went to war and he died, the woman is supposed to go with the man's son or his brother. Like, so she's not only with that man for the rest of her life. Like we were never in a society where that made sense. But we've moved, we've augmented, we've evolved. If you want to say evolved, I think we it's a regression to a degree because
Yeah.
people's egos are more fragile and their prides are more soft that they can't deal with just the reality that you aren't the only person. I may want to be with you and say I want to commit my life to you, but you aren't the only woman I'm ever going to find attractive ever again. And you're not the only one I'm going to want to fuck ever again. And in most marriages, the top one of the top three reasons for marriages is sex. Well, a lot of times men be in sexless relationships because the woman can't stay up with the man's sexual needs, and then you get women that go through menopause and men can't stay up with their sexual needs. Like, come on, dude. Like, this shit don't make sense. Like, make it make
Harsh,
sense to me. I,
harsh truth.
so it's like I don't think I can't speak for everyone, but I would say generally I don't think people at the least bit sexually monogamous. In my true belief, I think that people can have multiple relationships because we do them every day.
Okay, so then let me pose this question. Let's talk a little bit more about your personal situation. So your setup. So you have mentioned that you are engaged to your fiance. You guys are in the lifestyle together. A couple of times in your speech, you mentioned my girlfriends, plural. So what does your situation then look like? Like how many girlfriends you got? Is your girlfriend you and your fiance's girlfriend together, or do you guys have separate relationships? Like, how does it work for your situation?
So my fiance dates. She does date. She likes to date women. Um, I do have two girlfriends, two
You have
like
two
only
girlfriends.
two besides my fiance. Um, and my personal, me and my fiance, we're looking for another wife to be in our life to continue on the things that we're building.
Okay.
Um, that's our household. But my two girlfriends, we're all getting together. Me, my fiance, my girlfriends, and their significant others are all getting together to try to see if we can all, be a collective to some degree. And
Interesting.
but me and my girlfriends have been dealing with each other for 2 years now.
Okay.
So and that happened clearly 2 years ago, but that happened while me and my fiance were not together because we've been dealing
Okay.
with each other for 6 years. But we had taken a little break. You know how black love is: make up, break up, and then okay, y'all finally get y'all shit together, and now y'all can move on to life. You know black love. You know black love. That's how black people do.
I feel
And so that's how that situation happened. Like we started off in poly. Um, we couldn't get it together, so we broke up for 2 years, like off and on during 2 years, like fucking with each other or whatever. And then I messed with I met my two girlfriends, and we all were dating together. Like we were all dating each other at the same time. well, long distance and other things happened, and we, it was like, okay, well, I need someone here, you need someone there, like, okay, do your thing, like, type thing. And it was like, um, that kind of blossomed into what we have now, to where we're going to, we're looking forward to possibly, having a whole little pod, as we call it in poly.
Okay. So your two girlfriends have significant others as well.
Yes.
Okay. And they're male.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's talk about the emotional aspect and the boundaries and things that now come along. So there's you and your fiance. You have
Mm-hmm.
two girlfriends who have their own significant others.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work as far as, your fiance not feeling less than, or do you consider yourself to be alpha male?
I don't consider myself to be anything. If someone
Okay.
denotes me as that, I feel like it's like kind of, it's like if I need to say it, then I'm probably not it.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, like I don't know. You be the judge after our conversation.
Okay, so I mean, even without the titles, just like when it comes to boundaries, and I know women can be emotional, I think for me personally, and I've gotten this question so many times in regards to this and other situations where, oh, Nate, could you ever see yourself in a poly lifestyle? And I feel like I can be very selfish. I can be very, this is my person. I don't even see myself being able to have a threesome with somebody that I love for real, because I would feel like, oh, you like her more, or what's happening over here, type of thing. So when it comes
Hmm.
to, this is my fiance who has two girlfriends, or this is my boyfriend and he's cool with me having another boyfriend who has a fiance, like, what is that conversation like? What is that? How does that look with all these different players?
So you could, so terms that poly people tend not to like would be like primary, secondary, making it levels to this shit.
Uh-huh.
But in reality, there are levels to this shit. So like they're like they're not living in my household, so my fiance would get a certain level of priority to a degree. Like I have to take care of home, make sure home is in order. And when we get the other wife, it's going to be the same thing. That those two are, not only are they going to be in relationship together, and I'm in relationship with them. It's literally like those relationships will be more of a priority because it affects day to day living. And however, like that additional support, that additional, emotional, sexual, mental support is there. And we all understand that boundary. If you're talking about our relationship with the girlfriends, in terms of the fiance, that's a conversation that you're always going to evolve, and you're always going to um move in terms of your boundaries. Like what you needed to yesterday is not what you need today. And how are you going to move with that? Like what you're speaking about, like we have boundaries, like, okay, so me and my fiance, like we date separately, but we express early on to an individual, like this person is here. This person I have is here, and let me know how you feel about not only dealing with the fact that I have this other person, but are you willing to deal with this other person? Because there's no need for us to build up these emotions or these feelings with each other, and it's not going to be able to prosper because I'm not about to have a side chick or a side nigga. I'm not doing that. So we have those conversations, and in terms of the jealousy portion that you're talking about, everyone feels it, but it's how you approach the conversation or the situation. Like if you approach it from a conversation and understand that you have to deal with self first, because most people when they get jealous they want to point the finger, like you did this and you made me feel this way, versus asking the question of, well, what in me is making me feel like our relationship is in jeopardy? Because the thing that you said was Well, did you like that person more than me? Is it
Mm,
possible? So if you have two cars, are there things about one car that you like more than the other? Sure.
right.
But are there other things that you like about another car more than the other one? Sure. But does that mean you don't like both cars? And does it have to be that okay, sometimes when you get angry, this is an example, hypothetical. Sometimes when you get angry, you may get emotional and you may shut down. And when she gets angry, she talks to me. And that makes me feel comfortable because I don't have to think about what it is. But then when things are good, you're really nurturing and giving to me. Versus she's still in a chill place. It makes me feel like sometimes, like I gotta pull it out of her to get that emotion out. Does that mean I like you less, or does it mean that there's just different places that you fit in, and there's different things that you bring that the other person doesn't bring? And does one have to be less because the other one has this one thing more? Like it's not really. It's a lot of ego. Tend when I talk to people who are monogamous and tend to think on a level of saying, "Well, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine." It's like, do you have what thing in you or in your thinking makes you not only want to possess a person because your job doesn't possess you, your career doesn't possess you, your desires doesn't possess you. Nothing that you have in this life really possesses you except death. You gotta die one day, but you're able to make your own decisions. And so why should your decisions be so effective on me that it has to make me less than or make me look like, oh, you don't care about me as much because you went and did this? It's not really like that's trying to put a box on something that really isn't able to be put in a box because the minute that if I was to say to you, well, black women do XYZ, you'll be like, don't talk about all black women. It ain't all black women. Or it's like you're not gonna you're any other thing that you put the same thing to, it doesn't work for. So the general consensus is if you take a situation or example of a situation and you place it in another box and it doesn't work, 9 times out of 10 it's only working in this box because of how you feel or what you're thinking at that time, not because it actually works. It just literally is how you feel. And if you base anything off how you feel, like we spoke about earlier, you can make some pretty bad decisions on that because your feelings are going to change over time.
Right.
Hindsight is 2020, but it doesn't have to be if you just think a little bit forward.
Very good. That was you gave some really good examples there. Actually, I like that. Makes me think about things a little different. So somebody said, "Does your girlfriend get along with your girlfriends, or does she dislike any of them, or do you consider her opinion when it comes to these other women?"
So they talk, and we're actually getting together next month to all hang together and be together. So they're building a relationship. Um, in terms of the better question would be, have I disliked some of my girlfriend's girlfriends and has she stopped dealing with them? And the answer to that question would be yes, because I'm very, very protective. I'm very protective of myself, my family, and anything around me in my realm of influence. So like if I hear some shit from a person that sounds like they're willing to go left when you probably should be going right, I'm like, yo, I can't. Nah, dog, that don't even make sense. Fuck no, fuck no. No. So
So let's
she
talk
stopped dealing with, huh?
let's let's talk about that. So you and your fiance and your girlfriends and their significant others are all coming together to figure out if this could potentially be a whole big old group situation type vibe.
Mhm.
So with that conversation, are you meaning like all living together or all
Mm-mm.
being together? Like as
All in
a
relationship together.
all in a relationship?
All in relationship. All in a
Okay.
relationship. Not living together. No. No.
So then
Mm-mm.
that would give the other guys then free reign to be with your fiance, your other girlfriends, as well as your girls free reign to be with each other. Um, does that look
Precisely.
like group sex? Does that look like changing partners? Like
All of that.
all of that? Okay.
All of that, like group sex, change your partners, because it's like if someone told you, if you had a boyfriend and someone told you that you couldn't have sex with your boyfriend or be with your boyfriend or go out on a date with your boyfriend, you would look at them like they're fucking retarded. You would literally look at them like they're fucking retarded. So why would I, in the same breath, do any of that? Like, it's dumb. I can't.
So then I'm going to ask a personal question, because clearly
Mm.
then that means you said your fiance dates other women. So in this interchangeable thing, does that mean then the guys would be with each other as well?
Nope. We're straight.
Oh, so
We're
all of
straight.
you guys are straight,
But
but all of the girls are bi.
yes, and but you do have poly situations where there are bisexual men. We're just not of that variety. We're not of that variety, and that would be polyamory, though. Like, though that would be like that situation that we're talking about for me and my girlfriends and their spouses, their significant others. That's polyamory. But
Hmm.
like I said before, me and my fiance, we're polygamous in our household, so it's different.
Okay. Somebody said, is there any ground rules and responsibilities regarding sexual health? That's a great question because that's a lot of different situations going on together.
Hmm. It is. There are ground rules. There are ground rules. So my so my girlfriends, they don't have unprotected sex with anyone outside of their spouses, and I don't have unprotected sex with anyone outside of my fiance. But when we get together, we all make sure that we're current on testing and things like that. Like, testing is not really. I usually get tested like every 3 months. Like, but I haven't been doing anything, so I haven't had a need. I've only been having sex with my fiance. It's like, well, but if I was to entertain or go in that direction, then yeah, we would. Testing is like regularly the thing that we do. So yeah, like testing is a big, but we're very, very open about sexual conversations. Like, where we all have gone swinging, we all participate in swinging, but swinging is very much different rules and different living. Like, it's completely protected sex, completely like we're not doing certain things in this space. Like, there's just certain things that's just a hard no in a swinging aspect. Versus in our relationship, it's like damn near everything is a yes. Damn near. So you know what I'm saying? It's different.
So what about in a situation with like, so say I'm just gonna put myself in y'all mix. Say I have a boyfriend
Mm.
and I'm one of your girlfriends, but I have this boyfriend and I say, I'm down with being with my boyfriend and being with you, but I'm not bisexual. I'm straight, so I don't want to be with any of the other women. Um, what are the it has there ever been a situation where they want to be a part of the relationship, but they don't want to be a part of the relationships? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
I've
Have you
had that
ever?
happen. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that happened. That has happened to me. And so for me, one of the things for me in my relationship with my fiance, and not so much with the relationship with my girlfriends, but I kind of keep the same rules because it's easier for me. Like, if that's the case, it's like, no, I can't do it. It's not for my our style of power. It's not for our style of relationship. It's like it's like if you're a Christian and you want to be go to church and have all these different things going on in your house, and then you meet a Muslim man who's like, I'm staunchly Muslim, F that Jesus Christ character, they're probably not going to fit into your relate. Y'all probably won't have a good fit, so it's not going to work. Even if they're a great person, you're talking about day in day out conflict on that type of situation. If
Right.
y'all both are staunch religious people, so it's like I've had women approach me and they were dope women, but it's like, no, I can't do it. It's not because I don't want to, but it would be selfish of me to say, oh, I want to deal with you, and then my whole dynamic with the women that I deal with is now has to be augmented because I want to add this piece. That's
Right.
selfish of me. Like, no, I wouldn't. I've had it proposed to me multiple times, but it just doesn't work for me.
You give really good examples. That religion one was dope. That because it paints a clear picture for sure. Um,
Hmm.
so then let me ask you this. So you've mentioned several times, your household, building, your family, and you mentioned in the beginning that you have a kid. So how does that then play into like raising your children? Do your girlfriends have kids? Do you guys plan on having kids? Like, what are we telling the kids? You said you're looking for another wife to come live in the household. Like, what is this conversation looking like in regards to children, and then like even your families, like moms, dads, cousins, grandparents? Like, how are we having these
So
conversations?
so that's funny because I started my son out early in knowing that I'm poly. Like my fiance has been in my son's life since he was like 1.5, 2 years old. So like we are not like hoes or anything that we bring women around my son, nothing like that. But I have had the conversation where I've said to my son like he asked me one day about like, hey daddy, like isn't it like when I get married, do I only have to have one wife or something like that? Like some random kid question. And I was like, well, no, you don't have to. I mean, because you can have multiple wives. I was like, daddy is going to have multiple wives. Like, you don't have to isolate yourself. And that conversation was like, him sit there and ponder for a minute. And then we had another conversation where he brought back up, like, Daddy, you said you were going to have multiple wives, but aren't you supposed to have one wife? How does this work? And then it was like, well, Daddy will have multiple wives. No, you're not supposed to only have one wife. That is literally how our society is built. But if you look at other places in the world, that's not how they operate. And I started breaking down in a childlike manner, like
Right.
that whole thing. Now the conversation is very much different when I posed it to my mother, and my mother was like, I don't understand this. Like, and then that was like a whole year process of like literally like building her into it to the point where like a year or two ago she was like, I had a dream the other day. She was like, you had your nephew, your son, and your other nephew, and y'all all in the bed, but there was like some other kids around you. And I walked downstairs, and it wasn't your fiance that was down there. It was not that she wasn't there, but she wasn't in the actual building. Like I knew she was around, but she wasn't there. And when I walked downstairs, there was another woman that was downstairs, and we just walked on past each other and stuff like that. I'm like, I got you. Good, good. You understand where I'm coming from now, my good, good. Like so it was like that was pretty cool. And in terms of like extended family, like for me, I told him straight. I was like, look, I'm gonna have other women, so either y'all gonna get with it or you ain't gotta be in my life. Cool. Like I love you, but my life is my life. And some of them pushed back. There's like, we only recognize your fiance. And I said, if you treat my other woman when she comes around any type of way, like we're gonna have a problem. I'm letting you know that we're gonna have a problem. So how about you get on board now? And then they would pose the questions to my fiance, and like, are you okay with this? Is he pushing you into this? Like, what is this? And she was like, no, like I'm cool, yada yada yada. However, that was my family. Now I got to give you the caveat. My fiance, she's not as open with her family, all of her family, I should say, as I am. So like some of her family knows that she's like into girls or poly or things like that, but some other family members she wouldn't feel so comfortable saying anything to. And and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And my girlfriends, one of them, well, both of them are pretty open about their life and their life choices and things like that, especially with their family. But everybody still doesn't know, and you have to leave that up to that person's and their personal decisions. Like, is it really going to cause that much of an issue if your family knows or if they don't know? Like, even if you call me your friend, if they always see me, they may say friend like in black families. Like you see grandma, she be like, "Oh, that's my friend." It's like, "Oh, grandma fucking." We know grandma fucking, but we not gonna say that grandma fucking. Like I'm just saying, like that's how it's like. You got to leave people with their personal families. Like leave that up to them because realistically, you're only going to see the family like what once a month, if that. Like you're only going to see them twice, 3 times a year, maybe. What doesn't matter? Like you're spending 363 days with the person, and you get 2 days out the year where you got to deal with them and their family. Come on, it's not that serious. If your ego gets bruised by someone not recognizing you or calling you something on a day to family who they don't deal with on a regular basis, even if they are significant. it's not you got to ask yourself why. You should ask yourself why more.
Very, very good. So let's talk about, because I love to tell people, I always have, well, not always, but I've had like married men approach me or like guys approach me with the idea of polygamy and all of this. And I can tell it's more of a sexual thing, but my great comeback is, can you afford your wife and a girlfriend? And so I've talked to a couple of other people who are in poly situations and they talk about the economics of it, right? Like multiple persons in the household. For you personally, like what are the benefits then, I guess what is what I'm asking in regards to having your fiance plus these other women? Does it affect you financially? Are you having to support different areas or like what does that look like?
So although I'm in a non-traditional relationship, I'm a traditional man. If I
Okay.
was a non-traditional man, then the whole thing of like that splitting bills down the middle, going half on different things, that's for I feel like that's for untraditional or modern men. Like, but I'm a traditional man, so for me, it does affect my pocket sometimes. Like, because I'm a traditional man. Like, where I don't have to support my girlfriends because there's significant others support, but I do send money. Like, just being transparent. Like, I will gift some money, or hey, like if you need something, let me know. I got you. Like I don't mind being one or two in the chain of thoughts of saying, hey, I can get this money from this person, or you need something else. Like, you can call. They know that they can call. In terms of me and my fiance, if we were to find another wife, I'm a 100% take care of my household type of man. So it's not, it's, if you work, I never in my mind picture a woman's money being the needed. It's like I prefer to go work harder and get it. And if I need it, then of course you're going to have that. You should have my back. And if I can't get it, then you're probably not my wife in the first place. But generally speaking, I don't need it. Like I can take care of this. Like I got this. And nine times out of ten, you're probably going to call me asking me to get your hair and nails done. So let me do what I got to do while I'm at work. Like let me work. Don't bug me. Like make it peaceful when I get home. Have me some food when I get home. Like, and if I get horny so often, so happen like fuck. Hello.
Yep. Uh-oh. We lost him. I'm sure he'll come back. Very interesting. And I'm going to get your question up on screen as soon as he jumps back on. Um,
Sorry, I don't know what
you're,
happened.
you're good. You're good. You're good. Did you get a phone call? That happens sometimes.
Yeah, someone did call me, and I was like, oh shit. So
So we got another question. Is your fiance permitted to interact with the significant others of your girlfriends? I think this
yes,
person might have jumped on late because you had answered that, but you can go ahead and go into that again.
yeah, yes she is. Yes she is, and we actually, me and my girlfriends encourage it. Like we're very much non-jealous people. Like it's not. I understand the theory behind some men, like, oh, if another man has sex with your woman in front of you, like you must be like some sort of beta male. And sex in relationships and people are a bit more complicated than that. Like it's I'm a freak. Let me just put it that way. I'm a freak. So I can't like some men like pegging. I wouldn't call them gay because that's not my place to call them gay if they like pegging. I don't care. It's
What's
not
that? Is
what
that like
a
guys
deal a
like
woman fucking a woman fucking a man in the ass with a dildo. Some men
okay,
like that. Some straight men like that.
okay.
And I'm not here to judge them. It's not my thing. But at the same time, am I going to be mad that my fiance has sex with another man? Like, that's a you're reaching like because you the best thing that you can do for others to be comfortable in any situation is to allow them to have choice and allow them to make decisions for themselves and allow them to be comfortable enough to express themselves or do what it is that they feel without it bruising your ego, your emotions, or your mental. Like, how weak of a person do you have to be would be my question. That if I get to have these two girlfriends, why can't she interact with those men? Like, that would be kind of, yeah, hypocritical to say the least.
Okay, because I definitely have heard that too, where it's like I'm the man, I have these two girlfriends, and they are not allowed. They can deal with each other, but they're not allowed to deal with outside men. But for you, as long as that communication is there, you're okay with that.
With the caveat, I have a caveat. This is a boundary. Single
Okay.
niggas don't know how to fucking act. Single men do not know how to act. And that's just the reality. Like, I know how this works. Like, single men, a lot of single people have an issue with interacting with other people to where they want to possess or they want to take up too much time. They don't know how to stay in their place. The best side bitches or side niggas are the ones who want to remain side bitches or side niggas. But how many people are okay with being a side nigga or side bitch when their
Right.
emotions get involved? It's different when you don't have any emotions. But when emotions get involved, are you able to still remain in your space and say, okay, I'm okay here. Like, yeah, I'm going to encourage you to stay with your man. And in that, I'm giving that example to show like we don't have a situation where if men are coming into the situation, they can't be single straight up because I'm not going to fuck you. I'm not going to fuck with you. But I need you to understand that, like, yo, you want to remain in this space. And most generally speaking, men who have a woman don't want to interchange their women. Like they don't want to like, oh, I got a wife. I'm not trying to take your wife or deal with your wife in a more significant manner than what is really this situation. So no, it's not typically single dudes who she deals with. Like if she wanted, it would be somebody like if there was another couple and we are all interacting together. Where that's called like kitchen table. It's called kitchen table probably.
Okay. I'm learning a lot of terms here. I'm writing them down because of this. So,
Mhm.
question then. You had said you and your wife, are you and your fiance, well, you and your wife are looking for another participant for your actual household. So, what does that process look like? Like, are you looking for a single woman then, or are you looking for another? Like, what's that conversation? How are you guys approaching these women? Because, like I said, I've had that happen, but I think it's more on a sexual level. Like me and my wife want to have fun with you versus how are you approaching it when it's like, no, we're actually trying to build something here and invite you into our family.
Mhm. So first, I mean, there's levels to this shit, of course. I mean, you gotta like dating is a numbers game for men as it is for women. Like y'all gotta go through numbers, but y'all have more choice. It's like y'all have more choice in the whole dating arena because women don't chase. Men have to do the chasing. So, um, if you're
Times.
talking about for her, huh?
I said sometimes.
So like if you're talking about like in the sense of like my dating, like because she dates women and I date women separately. Like, and once we decide that okay, we're interested in this particular woman. Sorry, it's a reminder in the house. Um, but it's more of a thing of like she dates someone, I date someone, and shut up. Um, she dates someone, I date someone. If they're significant or we find them interested in enough, then it's a thing of okay. After we've had that conversation and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm cool with it, whatever, whatever. Then it's like, okay, well, we're gonna start hanging out, or we're gonna date, but that's after we've already gone on a date. Like, you can talk on the phone, text, and have this whole thing going on, but me and the person in person could be slightly different. So, you go and chill, and it's generally her. Like, I don't go on too many dates. Like, if I'm being honest, like, I don't like it's a whole vetting process, and most people don't make it past a week with me. Like, if I'm being honest, like a week, 2 weeks, like it's a whole vetting process. So for her, she'll generally go on a date, and then there's conversations, and then once I get introduced into the situation, then it's a thing of I'm asking deep questions off the bat. Like, I'm not holding no punches. It's not no ease you in type of situation in terms of me understanding your mental. It's an ease in terms of this whole relationship and everything that we're going to like how this relationship is going to progress. But I need to know I need to know how you're thinking. Like, what is your thoughts on some critical shit in this world that means something of significance in this relationship? Um, but the process is that, and it's it's like going through talking to a lot of frogs or fuck girls, fuck boys, or well, in our case, fuck girls. Like, in our case, talking to a lot of fuck girls or hot girl summers or makes like stupid shit like that. Like, and then once you go through that whole plethora of all that shit, and then you finally find one out of like the hundreds that you may have came across, then it's like, okay, well, this is a good one. Let's see how this progresses.
Mhm.
And then once you get past that, then there's it's a slow process. It's like dating. You're not going to find your Prince Charming. Most people don't find their Prince Charmings in high school, or their princesses in high school. Most
Right.
motherfuckers got to go to college, and then after they graduate college, after doing some bullshit in college, they go into their career, and then they meet people, and then you finally can meet someone that you're going to settle down with, and that can take years. Like, so it's a process. It's a slow process if you want to do it right. Because I mean, it's easy to get a girlfriend. I mean, we can find any bisexual girl and make her our girlfriend. That doesn't mean that you're going to be a right fit or that relationship is going to last. You
Right.
know. So
Okay. So last question I'm gonna do here as we start to move into our wrap up is surrounding communication. So I have someone that said I once was in a poly relationship and it ended because my girlfriend was upset that our boyfriend would not always tell her about the conversations that he and I would have. So, for your situation, because I know you had said your fiance dates, then you guys date separately sometimes, and then you guys bring it back. When you guys are together, um, is that like a requirement of you guys' relationship and your communication? Understanding is that what happens with you and your girlfriends, you have to report back, or what happens with her and her girlfriends, she has to report back.
no, I think that would be foolish because poly is multiple loves. So if you're requiring someone to report back to you, you're trying to be a manager or a supervisor of that relationship. Again, you're not going to tell your girlfriends everything. Hopefully, because I know women who do. But you're not going to tell your girlfriends everything that your man has told you, or the conversations that you guys have had. Or if you were bisexual, your girlfriend, you're not going to tell your girlfriends everything that you and your girlfriend had a conversation with. It's like, for poly to be effective, each person has to have their own relationship in whatever that relationship looks like. I'm
Hmm.
only here. Like, I don't want to know all of the like if my fiance is interacting with, we have a girlfriend hypothetically. I don't want to know everything that they talk about. Like, only things that are pertinent to know. Like, and if it's pertinent to know, they both in an ideal situation will want to tell me about that particular thing.
Right.
And whether whoever gets to it first, then that's whoever got to it first. But it's like I'm not pertinent. Like, am I gonna, like, they were talking about their shoes and their makeup, or some like, oh, or they tell, or the girlfriend opens up and said, hey, I was molested one time, and she had that conversation, an intimate situation with her and the fiance. Like, that's their business. When she's ready to talk to me, I would want to know. I would want her to feel open enough to come and tell me. But there has to be a level of trust there between parties. Now, if you're talking about, oh, like the fiance went and spent like 2 G's, and she told the girlfriend, yeah, you better fucking tell me that shit. Like, what the fuck did you spend $2,000 on? Like, I could have. That was money that was sitting in a stash. Like, I didn't need you to touch that. That was rainy day money. So why the fuck did you spend 2 G's out of the stash? Like, you could have asked me for 2 G's. Like, why didn't you just ask me for 2 G's? Like, that's something that's different. Like, that's me. That's me needing to know information. But me not needing to know, like, nah, keep like build that relationship, because there's certain things that I'm going to be able to pull out of the girlfriend or the fiance that the other one can't. Does that mean that they weren't going to ever tell him, or was it that we have a different communication style or situation where they can talk to me? Like, you don't ever want to be the person. You don't want to ever be a manager of the relationship that you're in poly, because now you're making it that everything has to go through you. And what happens if you're not able to handle that situation? Like,
Right.
it's them that need to be able to communicate thoroughly. So, but I'm sorry for the person for their relationship breaking up. Like, if she's
And I
cute, she
know
can
her.
holler at us.
And I know her personally, and so I think more so it was in the regard of her venting to the boyfriend, and then the other girlfriend getting upset that he didn't tell her what she was venting about, and her feeling some type of way. But I think that kind of plays into what you were saying before, where the titles and the this person is more important, or the main shouldn't be a thing, because the other girlfriend felt like, we brought you into this, so I'm more important than you, and you shouldn't be talking to him about stuff without me being included, type of thing. So I think it was just a misunderstanding of, we're a couple and you're our girlfriend, but I'm more important. So him keeping you guys' this conversation for me is a bad thing, type of vibe. You get what I'm
Well,
saying?
I mean, I get it, and again, that's ego. Like, that's ego in possessiveness. Like, you shouldn't have, and excuse me, people should have a space to vent. Like, because venting allows for you to process and think, and for someone to be a soundboard. And when they're a soundboard, they should ultimately hold you accountable in ways, so that way that person can come back to you and say, okay, I'm sorry, because there needs to be a reconciliation. Most times, what I find, most people don't know how to apologize, or most people don't know how to be accountable. So I'm sorry that she went through that. Again, if she's cute, she can holler at us. But like,
Cute,
but
huh?
in general though, in general, like on the real, it's like you have to give people that space. Like, people have to have that space. Like, I don't tell my fiance the conversations I have with my best friends. And I be damn sure that I don't want her to tell me the personal details of conversations that she have with hers. Like,
Right.
can I tell her? Yes. Can she tell me? Yes. Does it stop right there? Yes. But you got that relationship. You should be able to honor and respect that relationship just as much, and know that if it's an important enough situation, that the person, you should be able to talk to both parties. And if the other party feels that it's necessary to tell you something, then give them the ability to talk to you. But you got to build that communication and that trust, one, and you got to be able to build that. You got to be able to get that trust in yourself, that if it's necessary information, they'll tell you. But a lot of times, also, this is a caveat, some poly people just have too much time on their hands. Some people just have too much time, so they got to
Right.
be up in other people's sauce and mix and shit, and worried about shit that really ain't going to change the price of tea in China. Like, it ain't going to change shit. So it'd be like, go find something to do with your time. I've literally said that to my fiance. Go find something to do. You're getting on my nerves. Like, you need something to do. Go do that shit. Like,
Very
so yeah.
good. You're a great conversationalist. I enjoyed this. That hour flew by, and I
Thank
didn't
you.
even realize that it's actually been longer than an hour. But that's good. That's good. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
cool. Oh, I really, really, really appreciate your transparency and your openness to talk about your situation. That's a lot. Y'all got a lot going on. I'm going to follow up with you, just for my own personal gain of how that conversation and how that weekend goes, where all forces come together and kind of figure out what this is going to look like. I'm very interested to see, how you guys maneuver that, because that's very interesting. I am very intrigued by the lifestyle, to say the least. Um, I don't know if I could stick my toe in there. I don't know if I could, be open to the idea
Don't
of
stick.
multiple love, but I find it very, very interesting, like the dynamics of it for sure.
Don't get involved until you. It's a lot of. It takes a lot of work, a lot of self work. Like it's a lot more self work than it is about dealing with other people. To be honest with you, like a lot of people don't want to deal with themselves first, and when you don't deal with yourself, that means that you're now not only going to have one person looking at you and pointing and giving you a reflection of yourself. You're going to have multiple people, and that can be a little bit of a tax, or emotionally draining for some people, especially when you don't especially when you haven't already taken that time to do the work yourself.
Right.
Like ego, jealousy, ego and pride are killers to relationships, whether it be monogamous or poly. Like
Facts.
that's just the reality. And when you're talking about now, you're adding someone else who's going to see your ego and pride. Yeah, you're playing with fire, because you're playing not only dealing with one person's emotion, you're dealing with another person's emotions. Now,
Right.
jealousy, that's a normal human emotion, and you can express, "Hey, I feel jealous in this situation," or "I've gotten jealous in this situation." And for a lot of people, they don't know how to deal with how to health do in a healthy way deal with that emotion. Like there's healthy ways to deal with jealousy, because we're all going to feel it. We're all going to experience it. But there's healthy ways to deal with it. And a lot of times that takes patience
Yeah.
and takes time and conversation. So yeah, like you shouldn't be afraid to jump into it, but you gotta deal with that ego.
And people ask me every time I do a show, they're like, okay, Nate, what's the real? And would you or would you not? So it seems like this is my answer for the last couple of conversations that I've had with people. I'm not gonna say no, but I am going to say that it would take like a very, like, the situation would have to make sense. The situation would have to, it would take a very special somebody to like
What's
really
the
introduce the idea and make it stick on how this
what's the
makes sense.
what do you mean by makes sense? Like what makes sense?
Just all of it. Just all of it. Like, it's interesting to me, but I would say that I'm a very traditional woman. I feel like there is a sort of security to that one, a monogamous relationship, and it could be, like you said earlier, societal brainwashing, or that's just the way we've been programmed through society to believe that that's how it works. But I've
Hmm.
seen it work, so for me, you know seeing it another way is just kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing. Like, I know that this works, so why
I
should I
mean,
think different? You know what I mean?
I get it, but let's just keep it all the way 100. Monogamy worked, but Big Mama and Big Daddy was having their side fun. In most black families, like Big Daddy had a family across town, and niggas didn't know that they had family across town until he died. And Big Mama knew the whole time, but with the part that's not also talked about is that Big Mama sometimes slid off with the nigga next door, the milkman. And Big Daddy, as long as this nigga stayed in his lane, he didn't really give a fuck. Like monogamy worked, but under the illusion that nothing else was happening outside of it. For most people, generally speaking, like you got people that be like, oh, my parents were together for 20, 30 years. Oh yeah, but daddy cheated back in whatever. Or daddy ain't say that mama cheated too. Daddy let mama keep her whatever, her how she looked, because we're a Christian family. I can't put mama out there. So mama did her shit too, but we ain't gonna put mama out there. Daddy can look like the bad man because all niggas cheat. Like that shit happens quite often. It's like we paint these pictures, but we don't know what the deep details, and that's because, generally speaking, children need to stay in children's places. Like we don't need to know. It wasn't none of our business. And when you come into our society where we are now, people always say, "Oh, well, everybody's cheating. Everybody's cheating." Well, if everybody's cheating, why are you so mad now? Why are you mad about it? If everybody's cheating, why do you expect that anyone is not going to cheat? So how do you manage this? Create a space for people to be open about what they truly desire without you getting upset, without you getting angry, without you causing any type of discomfort or dis-ease in that situation because you asked them to tell you. And then when
Right.
you hear it, you deal with it in a proper way so that way they can then come to you again with something else. And the more space that you give someone to tell you things and tell you the truth, the more ways that they'll be able to they'll be willing to. Now, if you got a cheater, there are some people that just cheaters. Cheaters are cheaters. But everybody though, like, come on. Like most men don't tell women the truth because women want to hear lies. And I'm not gonna lie. I know that's not the truth, but not just you. Women are gonna be like, "Well, I wanted him to tell the truth, but I can't fuck him now." Well, you told him to tell you the truth. So, oh, hey, babe, I want to have a threesome with you and another guy. That's been always my fantasy. Oh my God, you a hoe. How? How? Why are you asking for something that you're not really ready to deal with?
Right.
Deal with you. Because it's not the person. They didn't. You asked for that. That's like someone dropping $1 million in your lap and then telling you, "Hey, you're gonna go broke if you don't listen to a financial advisor." And then you go broke and now you're mad, like, "Oh, you shouldn't have gave me $1 million." What?
Well, there's that. The forces that be said, wrap it up. Interesting. Definitely very, very interesting concept. Definitely a conversation that you guys are wanting to have because like I said, multiple people have brought this conversation to me and wanted to talk about it. So big thank you to Bryant for coming through, being very transparent, open about his situation. He dropped some knowledge there. It goes beyond the sexual piece for all of you people out there that are confusing poly lifestyle with just sexual fantasy. It's more than the threesomes, it's more than having side pieces, it's more than, all that other stuff, cheating and doing stuff openly with your partner. It's a collective situation, and I think that's a piece that a lot of people are missing when they think about this. So, all right, great talk. Great conversation. Thank you guys for dropping your questions. Thank you guys in the comments that were responding. And there's that. Another conversation on That's Told by Nay the podcast. Meet me back here next week, same time, same place, for another conversation on That's Told by Nay the podcast. If you're not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button while you're here. Share this link to your friends. Let people know what's going on and what's happening here. If you haven't already, go ahead and go over to barnesandnobles.com, cop a copy of my book Dreamer. It's a great read. Let me know how you like it. And that's that. See you guys next week. Let's talk about it.